You know, Irving Berlin had a chart-topping hit song that people in the know really understood. The lyrics were something like, "Hello, Montreal, goodbye, Broadway. I'm on my way, I'm on my way. I'm gonna make whoopee all night and all day." That sums up what Montreal was, baby. Because you see, America has a couple of problems with stupidity. From 1920 to 1933, this country thought that it could pass laws and stop grown people from drinking alcohol. It was called prohibition. 13 years they did this. And all they really succeeded in doing was creating a brand new industry known as organized crime. Yeah, bootlegging and prostitution and everything else. Yeah, it all came up because of prohibition. But people who live in the Northeast knew that they could take a drive north into Montreal. Like the song say, "Hello, Montreal. Goodbye, Broadway. I'm on my way, I'm on my way, and I'm gonna make whoopee all night and all day." That's right. Now, Montreal was jumping, baby, because it was one of the few places in all of North America where you could legally drink alcohol and have a good time. And they did. After all, it's a French province. You're not going to tell the French they can't have their wine. Are you kidding? They can't party. Are you kidding? Oh, you're not going to do that. Now, here is the real difference. See, this is what struck me. You all know about the Cotton Club, big club in New York. And you know that white folks went through the front door, black folks came in through the back door. You know that's how that thing went. Well, guess what? One of the biggest clubs in Montreal was called Rockheads Paradise. It was a 3-story building that was jamming from 1928. I think it finally closed somewhere in the 70s. And it was owned by a black man. What? That's right. The hottest jazz club in Montreal was black owned. You see, Oscar Peterson was not an accident. There was a neighborhood in Montreal called Little Burgundy, and Little Burgundy was called the Harlem of the North. This is where Oscar Peterson grew up. And he was able to become a jazz musician because all of America's greatest jazz musicians were always going to be found at Rockheads Paradise all over Montreal and certainly all over Little Burgundy. And directly across the street from that was Cafe Montreal that was run by a guy who played trumpet in one of Duke Ellington's band, got tired of the mess he had to deal with traveling with Duke Ellington, jumped the bus in Montreal, established himself for business, and he had a jazz club right across the street. That's where Maynard played as a kid. Oscar played there, and some of Oscar's students played there at ages as young as 10. Oh yeah, there was a difference in the club. Rockheads was strict. Dress code, you followed the law, you followed the rules, because it was a big, big club and he didn't need to have problems. Anytime the big names like Louis Armstrong would come to town to play downtown at the big opera houses and theaters and all of that, as soon as the show was over, they would jump in whatever was spoken and go straight to Rockheads. He'll do it again the right way. Ella Fitzgerald's first Canadian concert was in Rockheads Paradise. Yeah. And this atmosphere of jazz and freedom and equality made Montreal a hot spot for jazz and jazz musicians and just good times for decades. Even when the rock and roll epidemic hit in the 60s and kind of undermined jazz for a while, Rockheads continued to survive. St. Michel continued to survive. And another guy, Doudou Boulet, rose up as a proprietor, aficionado of jazz. And he started a club, I think, somewhere around 1975. You know, near that rock and roll started to die out, the pop festival started to die out, called a Rising Sun. And that did really, really well. And when the Rising Sun started to expand and needed a bigger place, he made an offer to Rufus Rockhead. Hey man, I know you're getting old, you're ready to retire, blah, 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 blah. You got a prime location here, it's got a reputation, it's got this. You should sell it to me. It stays in our family, our neighborhood. We're all, you know, black folks from the Caribbean here. Come on. And so the Rising Sun moved into the building that had been Rockheads Paradise. They even started the first jazz festival in Montreal called the Rising Sun Jazz Festival. And guess what? The site of that jazz festival on St. Catherine's is exactly across the street from where the current center of the Montreal Jazz Festival is located. And the Montreal Jazz Festival is the largest jazz festival in the world. So you could say that what Rockhead started eventually helped create the biggest jazz festival in the world. Montreal had many great sons and still produces great jazz musicians. Maynard Ferguson and Oscar Peterson were just two of the first. But the real secret was freedom and everyone having a good time and just a little bit of equality. And these musicians supported their brothers with these clubs. Musicians would go out of their way to come in and do concerts at these places when they knew that the money was funny, just to help those guys keep their doors open. And that is how these clubs lasted for so long, because it was a source of pride for the people. Montreal, Rockheads Paradise, the Montreal Jazz Festival is all connected to America's shortcomings. Thank you very much, and I hope that you will visit Montreal more than just St. Catherine's. Thank you very much.